Positivity is everywhere right now. Quotes, posts, reels, and sound bites. But real resilience doesn't come from repeating affirmations under perfect lighting. It comes from building emotional skills under pressure. It is sometimes easier to find your power than to stand in it. And often it's action, not attitude, that allows us to stand in it when we can't find solid ground anywhere else. Welcome to Deals with Heels. I'm your host, Debra. Today's guest is Lori Rogers. She's a mindset expert, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and co-founder of Positive Activity, a practical system designed to build resilience through daily intentional action. Lori calls herself a rational optimist, and today we're exploring what that actually means. Welcome to the show, Lori.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yay.
Deborah. I'm thrilled to be here.
I am thrilled to have you also as a guest. Consider myself also a rational optimist. So you rarely hear somebody else talk about that. So I'm anxious for us to dig into that. And I want to start really with a specific point in your story. You talk about in 2011, you reached your breaking point. And it wasn't because of one big thing that happened that crushed you. It was this buildup of emotional overload just piling up. And I want to talk about what that felt like and what it looked like internally so people can kind of relate to where you were and what that looks like in real life.
Sure. At that time, we do today as well. Neil and I own a swag business. So anything you can put a corporate logo on. And back then, our country was going through a deep recession at the time. Many of our clients were gone or lost their jobs or weren't buying anything. And when you're self-employed, that's your income. And I was like, this doesn't feel so great. How are we going to pay our suppliers? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And let me back up a second because I kind of grew up as a worrywart anyway. And so I have that in the background of the back of my brain. My middle son, who was a non-speaking young man with autism, was transitioning out of high school into the adult world, which back in 2011 was sort of this abyss of nothingness. And Neil and I knew we were going to have to create something for him. And he was anxious and doesn't like transition and doesn't like change. How is that going to go? I was worried about that. See how I was worried about things in the future that didn't even come to pass yet, but I did. My daughter was a Division I athlete. She played lacrosse in college. She got hit in the head with a stick and was home suffering from post-concussion syndrome in a dark room, no TV, no phone, no computer, this amazing type A fit athlete in a dark room. So worry, doubt, fear all around me. And it was it was like paralyzing. It was crushing. It was tension. It was right here in my chest all the time. Even though I functioned day to day, because I had, another son, my youngest son, Kim, too. So you have to function and do what you need to do. Try to do what you can do for your clients or get sales and that kind of thing. But it was crushing it. I can remember one day, it's embarrassing to even say this now, maybe not, but I can remember one day driving down and I saw a big tree on the side of the road and I thought, what if I hit that tree? Would life go on without me? Like maybe I really thought about it. I thought about like, isn't it easier not to be here? But then ratchet that back. My son needs me. My son with autism needs me. And it was just not a great place to be. Right. And my daughter was using meditation to help heal her brain. And she asked me to take her to a wellness fair that was happening like the next weekend. And I didn't even know what a wellness fair was. I'm going, what the hell's a wellness fair? But sure, let's go. Because she couldn't drive either because of her headaches and everything. And I drove her there. And that's where I picked up some books and went to a few presentations that talked about how you create your reality, your mindset. what you say to yourself, your negative self talk about being worthy of things. I never thought I was worthy. I grew up Catholic. We're not worthy of anything unless we, profess our sins or be good every day, or you know what I'm saying, go to church
Yes,
every
I feel
week.
like I'm looking in the mirror actually a little bit.
So,
I found myself in a very similar place, and I also grew up Catholic and learned that
mhm.
I was valuable through achievement.
Yes. 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 So I sat there on I think it was like, it took a year to sort of all of this stuff to learn it and have it come in and sink in and all of that. And I remember sitting there one day thinking, I don't want to feel this way anymore. Okay. Okay. If all I have to do is these few things to shift my perspective, shift what I say to myself every day, do a few of these activities that they talk about to raise your resilience so that when things do happen, you're not in the ditch. Okay, then I'm going to try. And I gave myself 21 days because the research showed if you do an activity for 21 days, it becomes a habit. It's more likely to become a habit. So I said, all right, I'm going to give myself 21 days. The first thing I did, and I keep this because this probably is like 10 or 15 years old. I wrote down every time I had a negative thought about my business. So it was really around my business at first, our business at first. Things like my sales and income will suffer this year. I don't have enough time. Selling is so hard. I would write it down, right? I would write it
Mhm.
down, and then I would write down the opposite. And I
Right.
would say, okay, I love my clients and my clients love me. There's plenty for everyone, including me. My suppliers have my best interest at heart. So I would write the opposite and I would stick that up on my wall in front of my computer. And then when a negative self-talk would come in, I would just look over here at that. And I would remember, you know, I have time and my workday flows easily. I still do this today because, negative thoughts come in all the time. And so I've just built up this practice of, okay, no, I'm going to focus on the opposite of that because I know that's not true. It's not true anymore for me. And so I started doing that. I started to do different practices. So these things have been scientifically researched to increase your sales on average 37%, increase your productivity by 91%. I'm sorry, 31%. Okay, here's another one. Doctors are 19% more accurate when their minds are more optimistic and positive. I think that's important to know. So ask your doctor how they're feeling when you go in and see them. Children's test scores raise substantially when they're more optimistic and positive. We live longer. We have better teams around us. People work for us longer. There's so many things that have been scientifically researched to improve when your mind is more optimistic and positive. And that's all well and good. And that's great. But how do we get there? And how do we stay there? That's what I didn't understand. It's like, okay, I'm buying in. I'll take that in. I believe that. So how do I get there every day? And how do I stay there as much as I can? So that's the things I learned. And once I learned them and I do the practices every day, it's like, oh my gosh, Neil, we need to teach this. They're free. They're simple. I'm not going to say they're easy because it's time out of your morning or your evening. It's time out of your day. Okay. So they're simple. They're free. It's an all day thing. It's in your home. It's just shifting a few little things. So I want everyone to know. I want teenagers to know this. I want young entrepreneurs to know this. People just getting out of college to know this, that they can create a different reality for themselves.
And
And
it is
that's,
true. Reframing how you think about a past event changes how you remember it.
hmm
It really can. And for anyone that's not watching on video, her little thing that she's talking about that she wrote it down, it's literally just like a piece of poster board with
hmm
post-it notes.
hmm
One side's yellow, one side's green. And so very, very simple to do. I spent a lot of time working on my mindset. I had a lot of things come to head. My audience knows I've talked about it often. And I had to take intentional steps as well to break the cycle, put new thought data in to your mindset
hmm
when you're building it. Your mindset, the stories you repeatedly tell yourself are so important. And my friend and former co host of the show for season 1 and 2, she was really big on doing things like that. And you'll find this really interesting. She decided because she would go to sleep listening to affirmations. I mean, she
Mhm.
really took it to the next level. And so then she would say them and write them down and do all of the things on her own, develop her own things to say to herself.
Mhm.
So she decided she was going to record her own affirmations in her own voice so that she could listen
Mm,
to them and
I
play them
love
when
that.
she was struggling. So she did. She recorded it. And when she played it back, she discovered that she really wasn't being that good. It wasn't she, it still had that tinge of worry.
Mm,
It still had that kind of self deprecating, I'll get there. Or there was always this little part of it that and when she was saying it, it didn't feel like that. But when
mhm.
she separated from it and listened to it just in third person, she discovered that, oh my gosh, I wasn't being very kind to myself. And I was saying all of that every day. And so I found that really interesting that sometimes even our messaging to ourselves,
Mhm.
we don't understand what we're doing. And so by writing down the negative and then writing the opposite of it, I think that's a very valuable exercise because you clearly identify both at the same
Yes.
time.
And I don't get mad at my brain for thinking them. I don't get mad at myself for thinking them. I say, "Okay, thank you, ego. I know you're trying to protect me, and I appreciate that, but I don't need that thought right now. I don't need that. I don't need to hear that because I know a different reality. I know it's gonna be okay. And even if it's not, even if this sale doesn't go through, even if they don't order from me, even if this day isn't great for Craig, okay, all right, we'll deal with it. I'll figure it out. Tomorrow's a different day. And yes, I'll be sad and I'll be bummed, but I know there's more to come. And it's not like things don't happen to me that upset me, or I don't lose a quote, or my son has a bad day, or whatever. Think of anything. If we all have families and children and things that happen. It's not that stuff doesn't happen or challenges don't come up. I just don't go to the ditch every day with them anymore because I built up my resilience to be able to say, okay, I'm going to feel like crap today. I'm going to process this. I'm going to let this, flow through me. And I think that's where rational optimism comes in. A rational optimist never shoves it under the rug or shoves it down into the stomach or the heart or wherever in your body you're holding that negative emotion. They don't. They process it, they feel it, they work it through and know tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow's going to be better, and I will work through this. And one of the big things I forgot to say research also has shown when your brain is more optimistic and positive, you are more open to listening and hearing those great ideas that are always flowing to you. So
Mhm.
I truly believe that. So I say, okay, we have a challenge today. She didn't like her jacket. She's got 400 of them in her office. What are we going to do about this? So I'm feeling worry. I'm feeling doubt. I'm kind of feeling, and I'm like, all right, let me give myself some peace. I'm going to breathe through this, give myself a couple hours to process. And I know an idea and a thought and a way forward is going to come to me.
I
Yeah.
I love that too, and something that I recognize in what you're saying that I dove pretty deep in researching because I found out I was in grief counseling after the loss of my mother and my marriage and my kids and all of the things, right,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
made
wow.
me at the very bottom. And I was on about procrastinating that was felt really stuck and I couldn't do it. I don't know why I can't do it because it's not difficult and all of those things.
Hmm.
And he told me that I was in fight or flight,
Hmm.
that I was the deer. I was in freeze. And I literally couldn't make that decision. And he gave me grounding exercises to snap me out of that. And I was pretty incredulous when he was like, Deborah, you're not procrastinating. And I was like, you're not listening to me. I am procrastinating. I just went on for 10 minutes about all of the ways that I am. And so you found a way when we're in fight or flight, our subconscious takes over all that fear, all that worry, all that circular thinking. and bad. And we can't oftentimes stop it if we don't have those tools in place to do it. And we can't. Our subconscious mind has completely taken control. So you found tools and ways to snap yourself out of that fight or
Mhm.
flight freeze and to let your conscious mind take control. And for me, that's very key for my rational optimism because it allows me to be rational again and
Mhm.
to see it from a new light. I always feel like when I'm in that, I mean, I come from a long line of Catholic warriors myself. And
God bless
so,
us.
right. I mean, I do. And so I grew up that way. And it takes conscious effort to get out of this scarcity mindset of fear. And oftentimes when I am stuck in that, I am in fight or flight and didn't even know it. You
Right.
don't know. You don't know. And one of the things that happens when you're in fight or flight is blood flow leaves your brain and goes to other parts of your body. So you're ready to run and you're ready to combat and all the things that you may need to do. And so we don't make very good decisions and choices because we're dumber than we
Right. We
we're
are.
we're dumber. And I can justify sometimes making an emotional decision, right? You're like, oh, I was upset. I shouldn't have said that or I shouldn't have done that. But me personally, I'm not going to consciously make a dumb decision.
Right.
So it helped reframe that for me that,
Yes.
okay, not only am I feeling emotional, I'm dumb right now. And so I'm going to set this aside and take care of myself. So, does your daughter still meditate?
Yes.
I'm an avid meditator,
Yes.
and I don't know what I would have done without meditation. I still ended
Mhm.
up at rock bottom and not having control and in fight or flight. But having that background, I've meditated for about 15 years, really helped me convert and take control. I went through that process by myself, as you did.
Mhm.
And so it really helped me be able
Right.
to do that. And so I love that she was doing that to heal her mind. And together you kind of found your way.
Yes, we did.
Something that I read when I was researching this episode was your even though energy,
Mhm.
right? And I really like that in real life. It's not just language, it really is something that
Yes.
can settle and can change your perspective about something. Tell us a little bit about
Right.
that.
Right. Well, that I learned because the research has shown that 10%, only 10% of your long term happiness is associated by how you perceive what you've got, your house, your income, who you're married to, your job, like, tangible things around you. 90% of your long term happiness is predicted by how you perceive the world around you. So, how you perceive the weather, how you perceive your home, how you perceive your spouse, your partner, your job, your income, your bank account. So, let me give you an example. In 2020, when COVID happened, and we were all like unnerved and a little unbalanced, and again, business, what's going to happen? So, after about a week of unsteadiness, um, I said, okay, I'm going to perceive this in a different way. Even though I cannot go see my clients, this is what we're going to do. We're going to email them all, get their home addresses, make sure it's okay for us to send them swag to their home addresses so that we can stay in contact and keep doing business with them. I mean, they still had their business emails, but they weren't in the office. We couldn't go see them. And even though we can't go out to restaurants or we can't, my kids were able to come and be with us and stay with us. We didn't have to go anywhere for the holidays. We got to just be together without the rat race of the holidays. So even though we're here, we can't go see, we've got time to clean out our marketing drawers, my marketing cabinet. We decluttered. So it was shifting my perspective and looking at it as even though I can't do this, I get to do that. So one of the big ones now is even though, I'm getting older, because everyone says, how does it feel to be turning 65? I'm like, are you kidding me? I get to be 65. Do you know how many people don't get to be 65? So it's like, even though I'm aging and I'm getting older, I'm still useful. I still am healthy. I get to do what I want every day. I think of it that way. I don't look at it because you do hear this a lot. Oh my God, it sucks to get old. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
All the time. I'm turning 60 this year. And
Oh, good for
so,
you. Happy birthday.
and I am like,
No, it
hell yes,
doesn't.
I made it.
Yeah.
Hell yes, I made it. People are like, no, I don't want to celebrate. I said, yes, I'm celebrating. I want
Got it.
attention and gifts because you know what? When you get this old, you realize not everyone makes it here. Not
Right.
everyone makes it this far. And that becomes, as you get older, boy, that becomes very evident in your life.
Yes.
And that mortality. I remember the first time one of my classmates I grew up with passed away and
Oof.
that mortal feeling you suddenly have. So even though not everybody does make it, damn it, I did. I'm going to hit 60 and
Right.
65 and love it and live it and enjoy myself. I think part of it is we often in America don't remain healthy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I do love the even though, and I think it's very rational optimism because you haven't taken leave of your senses.
No.
Yes, I do know all of this is happening.
Hmm.
But even though it is, life is still good. I still have tomorrow. I still love all of the things. I
Yes.
still have all of that joy. And that lens is so important to move forward in your life. It really is.
Hmm. I agree.
I want to talk a little bit about how action binds ideas to reality. Action's a really important step in manifestation, in prayer, and you can't just sit back and wish that things were different. You have to take action aligned to your goals in order to do that.
Hmm.
And it's important. I mean, it's an important step in brainwashing, right?
Hmm.
I took a class in college, part of my communications degree called The Power of Persuasion, and we learned brainwashing techniques. And the technique is the same. It's the ideology that they convince people of that changes amidst whether it's my professor had interviewed Charles Manson and the Moonies guy and failed suicide bombers. He was really deep into the topic. And brainwashing doesn't stick without action. It's the same kind of process of sticking, like you building habits. The
Hmm.
action is what makes it stick, not the thought, the action. The thought will work for a while. Saying positive things can work for a while, but it doesn't work forever. It wears off without the action step. And I think that's why I was so drawn to what you guys do and what you do. You did positive activity and it's about action instead of just mindset. So
Right.
I've had my 2 cents on that. Tell us why that works for you.
So they go hand in hand in my view because you can't, for me, I can't just, choose joy, choose to feel something. To me, you have to choose thoughts that bring you joy. So to me, it's mindset and things that support the mindset. So what we teach are the things that support that positive mindset as much as you can, your optimistic and positive mindset. Things like every morning, I write 3 unique things that I appreciate that happened from the last 24 hours. I write them down. I feel it. I think about them, brings all that good, chemicals back into your body and you feel good again. I write down something that happened to me in the last 24 hours that made me laugh or smile or have fun. And I write that down again and I experience it again for crying out loud. Your brain doesn't know whether it's happening right now or it happened yesterday. So fine. Experience it again. You visualize it, you think about it, that fun, great experience, got the dopamine flowing through again. Awesome, awesome. I think that's great. A conscious act of kindness. I do something every day to bring kindness to someone else. And I just read a book by Pam Grouch, and I'm going to do this. I thought this was amazing. She went to her checking account, took out $1,000, went to the corner of her downtown with a sign that said, "I have a home, I have a bed, I have a job, I am here to give." And she handed out like $10 bills to everybody that walked by. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to do that. That is like so cool. So that action rippled. So not only was she giving, I don't know, to 10, 20, how many people walked by, those people may have done something lovely for someone else too. So you cause this ripple effect when you do these conscious acts of kindness. And I don't call them random at all. I call them very conscious. You're thinking about it. You're going to figure out what you're going to do and you're going to go do it. And it's, to me, that's lovely. Then meditation, I exercise. One action that I do in the morning too, and I learned this from Mel Robbins. It's called the high five habit. Also, Louise Hay talked about it a lot. Is mirror work. So in the morning, I get up, I go right to the mirror in my bathroom. I look myself in the eyes and tell myself how much I love and approve of myself because I may be the only person that says that to myself that day
Mhm.
and give myself a high five. So the whole book is about that and the science behind all of that and how amazing that is for you. I will say it was very hard for me to do that. It probably took me a couple months before I could really tell myself I loved myself. And I
Wow.
had to work through that worthiness piece. So, but I did, and now it comes easy. So, all of those actions help to keep your mindset more optimistic and positive.
Yes.
So, it's that's what I like to teach, and that's what I like to tell people. Yes, you want to be up here, but no one knows how to stay up here. How do we stay up there? I'm going to teach you how you can help your brain and help your subconscious, stay up there and help your subconscious garner the things you really want, attract the things that you really want, search for the things that you really want because your subconscious brain is doing it automatically anyway. So why don't you make sure it's garnering the things, gathering the things that you really want and not just what the negative things that you might be thinking about
Right. I
every
mean, if
day.
you think about them all the time and you're always worried, and you see people who have the same problems over and over and over again, and that's what they're focusing on. And we
Hmm.
create our own reality.
Yes.
So if you really focus on all of those things, then that's what you get.
Yes.
And it's scientifically proven many, many times over. I did something, I didn't do the mirror thing. Felt like I was really needed to heal a lot of old trauma.
Hmm.
And I had found this picture of myself from like the first grade. And I have a really great memory about a lot of things,
Yeah.
and especially my childhood. And I remember first grade very vividly. I remember the
Hmm.
dress. I remember that I liked that dress I had on in
Yeah.
that photo. And so I started talking to her, to that part of me. It was
Hmm.
really hard to be mean to her, really hard to say something negative to her. It was easy to say it to me, but it was not easy to say it to her when she was innocent and good and
Hmm.
hadn't been bogged down with society expectations and all of the things. And so sometimes it was just, and now she's framed on my dresser. She's in a frame
Yeah.
now. And I would leave as I walked out of my bedroom door. I would look at her sometimes and say, "You're a badass little bitch. You know that?
Oh my
You
gosh.
got it."
I
And so
love
for
that.
me,
I'm going to do that. I love that.
that made it so much easier to be kind to myself.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so the mirror thing I am able to do now, but I struggled then, and it just kind of naturally happened that I was doing that with that picture. And now I know there's lots of research around that if you can't say it, if you're being mean to yourself, you're being hard on yourself, and you're telling yourself all of the things of, God, I should be able to do this differently. I wish I could do this. Why can't
Hmm.
I? All of those things, pop out that little innocent photo of yourself.
Hmm.
Say it to her. Because I
Yeah.
tell you what, I couldn't do it. I could not ruin it for her.
Yeah.
And so it was a big step for me to be able to do that. And I will lean into it and have a
Yes.
conversation with her. And so I also like how you talked about holding those emotions in your body
Hmm.
when you don't express them and honor them and say them. And
Oy vey. Yes.
I was an athlete, so I like to do like big exercise, like kickboxing and
Yes.
So I wanted to be able to do some somatic yoga. And I had heard it was really good for releasing all of this past trauma from your body, but it was hard for me to kind of understand it. But I was doing the stretching because, that's always good. And as I was doing it and the breathing and what I discovered is that I clench my butt cheeks and my glutes are where I carry long-term trauma and I can feel myself doing it now.
Mm.
Like in a stressful situation, I'll be like, "Oh, boy, I've got the tightest ass cheeks of all time."
Good news, bad news.
Right, exactly, just clenched. And so when I could finally release all of that, and I cried
Oh
about
my gosh.
some dogs I rehomed 30 years ago, and which went to a very good home. I didn't like drop them off in the
Yeah.
country or they went to a very good home, but it was, I think, a way for me to express those emotions that I hadn't expressed from whenever I had them. It wasn't really about the dogs, but the dogs allowed me to feel it and express it in a way that I didn't have words for, I guess is a way to put it. So
That's
holding that
beautiful.
in, I was
My
really
gosh.
surprised that it was true.
That's
That I was
awareness, my dear, right there. That's awareness. I just finished a stream of consciousness here. I just finished reading a book called The Emotion Code, and
ooh,
it's amazing. I don't have it here. It's downstairs. The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he
that sounds
teaches,
good.
it's amazing. He teaches you how to release these trapped emotions in your body. So over the last few weeks, I've been doing it, and I've been releasing these trapped emotions. Some are mine, some I've inherited, some I've absorbed along the way. And you can ask your body where they all came from. And that's a whole cool woo woo kind of thing, but I'm loving it. And my back pain is gone. My leg pain is gone. Wow. And
Right? I mean,
okay,
you
so I'm
don't
I'm almost
realize.
65. I've worked through, I don't know, 40 different emotions so far. Most half mine, half my mother's, so whatever, because we inherit things. It's just
Yes,
the
we
way it
do.
goes. So check it out. I think it's right up
I'm
your
going
alley.
to. That's
Emotion code.
amazing. But I
Yeah,
really thought it was kind of woo woo, like the whole thing. It was a little like far
it
fetched for
is.
me. I'm very rational and logical. But it happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then it was like, I could almost feel like my whole body changed a little bit when I was able to release it out of most of it is in my glutes and my lower body muscles, some in my
Yep.
back, but boy, it was a big one to find it
Wow.
and then realize, oh, wow, that is really clenched right there and be able to relax it and realize, wow,
You're right. Well, your body, gosh, it wants to protect you so badly from pain and insult and fear and doubt. Well, and thank you for that, but it needs to go now. It can
yes,
go now. I can handle it. I'm an adult now. So this may have happened to me. There were several emotions I released that happened to me when I was 9. As a 9-year-old, you don't know what to do with the onslaught or the insult or the whatever happened to you. Now I
no.
can handle. Yeah,
And we weren't encouraged to express it. It was
right.
quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh my gosh. Do we have the same mother? Love you, mom. I love you both.
It was
Ah,
just a generation of
yes.
it, and
Yeah.
now you come back around to it and you're like, oh my gosh, they were right. They were right to say things. Some of the things that they did were like, walk it off. You're okay, walk it off. Now we pamper and we elevate. And that's really not good to do that. So
Right.
little things like that I've discovered that weren't so bad, but not that one.
Yeah.
The don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about.
Right. Right.
Boy,
Right.
that followed with a lot of bottling up of emotions for an entire generation. An
Yes.
entire generation.
And also too, going back to actions, I was thinking about my what I'm going to be doing today in our business, my business. And I feel like when you take inspired action, I feel inspired to call these 3 people today. I just want to connect with them and talk to them. I feel inspired to go through my list of orders from last year that I'm going to review and see if they need new things now this year. So when you're in that state of more optimism and positivity, you just take inspired actions to reach your goals because we all have goals and things we want. And
And when you're in
mhm.
that state, sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. And when
Oh, I
you
love that. Yes.
And when you're inspired by something and you're in that place of optimism, that enthusiasm comes naturally and it comes without pressure and you don't sound salesy and you don't do any
Mhm.
of those things. And so it's so
Yes.
important to be able to have that inspiration of why you want to call them. It's not just to get a deal. It's I'm
Right.
inspired to call them, to connect with them again, to see how they're doing. And when you can transfer the enthusiasm, you may not always get a sale, but you might get a referral and you get to maintain the connection so that later those businesses can come to you for what they need.
Yes.
So it's really important. I'm glad that you said that because it's so important to
Mhm.
have that. And I think a lot of times we as women misunderstand what resilience is and we're conditioned to just endure, absorb whatever happens around us. And that's resilience. But it's
Yeah.
really not. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I relate my resilience to my happiness level. Let me put it this way. Once I started doing these practices and got my happiness level from down below, down here on the floor, to like up here ish, right? As much
Mm-hmm.
as I can each day, I call that my resilience because when challenges come, issues come up, someone's having a bad day, whatever, and I get pushed down a few notches and I'm worried and I feel doubtful and I'm worried about how I'm going to resolve it or is Craig going to have a better day or is it all going to be all right? I know because I've built up this stream of consciousness that that I'm going to figure it out. So so my resilience is higher and stronger because of the things I do each day. But it doesn't mean I don't get batted down. I do, but I don't go into the ditch anymore. I can I can go down a few notches, but then I can work myself back up.
Right. When I see
Yeah.
someone that is just always positive, always, that's different than optimistic. I find that kind of toxic because they're not acknowledging and feeling the
Hmm.
feelings and moving through them in a natural way. No one is like, I'm positive and motivated every single day. That's not
Right.
reality.
Right.
And so the fact that are like, yes, it still kicks me. I still don't like it, but I have emotional resilience and I'm able to rise above that and find my joy again because I practiced. Because I
Right.
practiced.
Right. It's interesting too. I never heard the term toxic positivity until about 6 or 7 months ago. And I had to look it up to see what it was because I didn't know. And because someone asked me about it on an interview in a podcast once, I said, well, I don't really know what that is. Can you explain it to me? And once she told me, I said, no, no, no. That is absolutely the opposite of what we teach and or how I live my life. Please feel the emotions. Be pissed off for 2 days. Be mad for a day or a week, whatever you need
Oh,
to
and anger.
process it.
Yes.
Like
And
just
anger is
be mad. Yeah.
such a catalyst for change. It's essential. It's there for a purpose. You just can't live there. You have to be
Right.
centered with the joy part of it. So for me, that toxic positivity is just somebody who's not feeling anything. That's the
Right.
messaging, the shield. And
Yeah.
because all of us have things that it's like this, it's not straight across. It's a
Right.
wave of peaks and valleys.
Right.
And I love that I don't let the valley go to the ditch.
Right.
That's
Right.
the
The
important
valley
thing.
is just a nice little valley and not the
It's
ditch.
natural and
Yeah.
we all end up there. There's no way to avoid tragedy in our lives. And it's important that we build the resilience and the skill to be able to find our way through it in a
Hmm.
healthy way. And I love the way you've done it. And I learned so much from this episode and
Thank
our
you.
conversation. I
Thank
had
you.
someone ask me, I was a guest on a podcast, and they asked me, kind of, what's the best thing having your podcast cross 100 episodes? And all of the big thresholds. What's the best thing? And it was so easy for me to answer it. And it's how much I learn from my guests, how much what they've been through and they talk about impact me personally in my life. And it's, I think, a good validation that if I'm feeling that way, then someone out there is feeling the same way from our conversation. And I know that they are today because
Wow.
today, such good, valuable information from like minds. And I'm sure there's people out there listening that would love to connect with you and talk more about it. So tell
Sure.
us a little bit about Positive Activity, your company,
Sure.
and everything that you and Neil.
So, yes, our website is positiveactivity.net, and our emails are out there on there, and we respond to them personally. And we do workshops, we mentor, we go into we get hired by our clients a lot, actually, and our current swag clients to come
Hmm.
in for a wellness luncheon, or Autism Month is coming up. So people like to have guest speakers come in and talk about resilience for caregivers. When you have a child with autism, there's so much more that goes on. And we talk a lot about that. So we love it. We just love spreading the word of the things that you can do to help make your life better and maybe a little smoother and a little easier, and know that you're not alone. That's the other thing too, is like we're all in this together. We are all connected. I mean, my belief is we're all connected by this amazing consciousness of this universe. So the more that we can all raise each other up, we're raising everyone. We're raising everyone when we raise ourselves. And I just love teaching it, and I love helping sales teams and entrepreneurs and all that. I just love it.
I can tell. And it really is authentically just oozing from you. And I
Thank you.
love that space. I'm like kindred spirits.
Yes.
I love it so much. So, everyone, I will link to all of Lori's things in the show notes so you can easily find all of her contact info, her social media, and her website. She has a great personal message on the Positive Activity website. And so I encourage everyone to check that out. Thank you, Lori, for showing
Thank you.
that resilience isn't about pretending that everything's fine.
Hmm.
And it's about building the skills and the emotional resilience to be able to stand in it when things get very difficult. And we talk about on the show a lot, standing in your power isn't always easy. And I love you demonstrated so well how daily action helps us be able to do that in a very positive way. So thank you so
All
much
right.
for that.
Well, thank you.
Deals with Heels is where female entrepreneurs grow. It's not just in strategy, but in self awareness and in strength. If you're interested in building better connections while growing your business, I have a free resource called the Human Sales Playbook. And it is all about connecting with someone and building that enthusiasm and demand so that you don't feel salesy when you're doing it. I will link to all of that in the show notes as well, so you can download it for free. Until next time, everyone, stand strong in your power, especially when it gets uncomfortable. See you next week.